Good evening, and welcome to Cross Currents, where we explore today's significant societal debates. Tonight, our focus is the complex question: should athletes compete based on their gender identity? This issue touches upon core principles of inclusion, fairness, and the evolving nature of competitive sport. To guide us, we have two distinguished guests: Dr. Alex Ryder, a sociologist specializing in gender studies and sports, and Ms. Eva Rostova, a former professional athlete and respected sports commentator. Welcome to you both.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm pleased to be here to discuss this vital matter. My foundational belief is that sport must be fundamentally inclusive, offering a welcoming space for everyone. Gender identity, as we understand it, is an individual's internal, deeply felt sense of being male, female, both, neither, or otherwise along the gender spectrum. This identity may or may not align with the sex assigned at birth, a critical distinction in this conversation. Consequently, policies enabling athletes to compete according to their affirmed gender identity are paramount for upholding human rights, ensuring dignity, and showing respect for transgender individuals. It's noteworthy that numerous sporting organizations globally have already adopted such inclusive policies. These policies often include specific criteria, like durations for hormone therapy and monitor testosterone levels, aiming to ensure a degree of fair play while fostering inclusion. The ultimate aim is to cultivate an environment where transgender athletes can participate authentically and without facing discrimination. These frameworks are dynamic, evolving with ongoing research and a steadfast commitment to supporting all athletes.
Thank you, Sarah. I also value this opportunity to engage in this important discussion. I want to affirm from the outset my support for the principle of inclusivity within society and sport. However, my primary focus this evening is the equally foundational principle of fair competition, especially concerning the women's sports category. The women's category was intentionally established to offer a protected and equitable competitive arena for biological females. This was a response to the general physiological advantages, such as bone structure, muscle mass, and aerobic capacity, observed in those assigned male at birth who have undergone male puberty. My central concern is that permitting transgender women, individuals assigned male at birth who have experienced male puberty, to compete in women's categories could potentially compromise this fairness. This is due to the possibility of retained physiological advantages that may persist even following medical interventions like hormone suppression. This discussion isn't about disputing an individual's identity, which I respect. It is rather about safeguarding the integrity and fairness of sex-segregated sport, ensuring meaningful competitive opportunities remain for female athletes.
Thank you for those compelling opening statements. Dr. Ryder, you emphasized inclusion. Ms. Rostova, your focus is fair competition. How can these vital principles be reconciled when they appear to clash in this context?
Reconciling them is key. Inclusion doesn't mean sacrificing fairness. It means redefining it to be more encompassing. Many sports bodies use medical guidelines, like testosterone suppression policies, to mitigate significant advantages, aiming for a more level playing field. These policies are based on available science and are designed to allow participation while addressing fairness. Focusing solely on sex assigned at birth can be discriminatory and overlooks the complexity of gender. The goal is to create frameworks where transgender athletes can compete authentically and safely, ensuring their human right to participate in sport is respected.
While I acknowledge efforts like testosterone suppression, serious questions remain about their total effectiveness in nullifying all advantages from male puberty. Factors like bone density, lung capacity, and potentially muscle memory might not be fully reversible to a degree that ensures truly equitable competition. The female sports category was established to guarantee biological females a fair opportunity to achieve excellence. If these inherent physiological differences are not comprehensively addressed, the very purpose of this category could be undermined, impacting fairness for biological females.
Let's examine the scientific evidence and current policy approaches more closely. Ms. Rostova, what are your primary concerns regarding the existing scientific data or how policies are being implemented?
A key concern is the limited long-term research on the performance of transgender women athletes post-hormone therapy across various sports. This lack of extensive, sport-specific data makes it difficult to definitively assess the impact of current policies. Current policies, often focusing on testosterone levels, may not fully capture all physiological elements contributing to athletic performance, such as those developed during male puberty. There's a perception that some policies might be driven more by social considerations than by robust scientific evidence that guarantees fairness for all female competitors.
Reputable sports and medical bodies do consult extensively with scientific experts when developing transgender inclusion policies. These policies are not set in stone. They are dynamic and intended to evolve as more research becomes available, reflecting a commitment to evidence. It's also important to acknowledge the natural physiological diversity that exists among all athletes, cisgender individuals included. Singling out transgender athletes for unique scrutiny can be disproportionate. Many policies strive to balance inclusion with fair competition by considering multiple factors.
Looking ahead, how might sports categories evolve? Dr. Ryder, what are the implications if gender identity is the primary determinant? And Ms. Rostova, if biological sex remains the standard, how can sport ensure it's inclusive of all individuals?
I foresee sports categories potentially becoming more nuanced, perhaps moving beyond a rigid binary for some disciplines. This could involve considering multiple factors to ensure safety, fairness, and inclusion are all prioritized. However, respecting an athlete's gender identity must be a fundamental component of any future framework. It's about dignity. Continuous dialogue, dedicated research, and a willingness from institutions to adapt are crucial for creating sports structures that are genuinely inclusive and reflective of human diversity.
I maintain that categories based on biological sex, male and female, will remain vital for ensuring fair and meaningful competition, especially for female athletes. This doesn't exclude other possibilities. For example, open categories, where any athlete can compete regardless of sex or gender identity, could be further developed. This model seeks to preserve dedicated competitive opportunities for biological females, which is essential for equity. Simultaneously, it explores avenues for all athletes to find a place to participate meaningfully and with respect within the broader sporting landscape.
To conclude, my core belief is that sport truly thrives when it embraces inclusivity and respects the identity of every participant. Creating effective and fair policies for transgender inclusion is not an insurmountable challenge. Many sports organizations are already successfully implementing and refining them. These policies demonstrate that progress is not only possible but is actively occurring. The positive impact of such inclusive environments on the mental, emotional, and physical health of transgender athletes is profound and cannot be overstated. They, like all athletes, deserve to experience the myriad benefits and joys that participation in sport offers. I advocate for continued advancement towards a global sporting community that genuinely celebrates diversity, guided by empathy, robust scientific understanding, and an unwavering commitment to the human rights of every athlete.
In closing, my argument centers on the imperative to ensure fair and equitable competition within sex-segregated sport, particularly for biological female athletes. The women's category was designed to provide these opportunities, and its integrity is paramount. Concerns persist regarding retained physiological advantages from male puberty potentially impacting fairness, even with current mitigation strategies such as hormone therapy. Advocating for sex-based categories in this context is fundamentally about preserving the level playing field that is the cornerstone of women's sports. This position is not intended to invalidate any individual's identity or deny their right to participate in society, including sport. Respectfully, I urge continued pursuit of thoughtful solutions that protect competitive fairness for female athletes, while also striving to find respectful and viable pathways for all individuals to engage in sports.
Dr. Ryder, Ms. Rostova, thank you both for your insightful and principled contributions to this complex and important discussion. It's clear this issue requires balancing inclusion, fairness, and our evolving understanding of science and identity in sport. We trust this debate has offered our audience a deeper appreciation of the varied perspectives at play. We encourage continued thoughtful engagement with this topic. Thank you for joining Crosscurrents. Good evening.